That's a strong show of support, of course, there. We'll translate to signatures. Joining me right now is U.S. Congressman Elijah Cummings, Democrat of Maryland, and NBC News political reporter Casey Hunter, who's covering the fight up there. Thank you for joining us. And my question is, okay, you're going to use the discharge petition. It's a great way to fire up or put fire under the keisters of Republicans. You forced them to come out against the minimum wage. Will it work?
I think we can get it to work, no doubt about it. You know, we've been successful 7 times in the past with regard to discharge petitions. And then there were more than 10 times where there were discharge petitions presented, Chris, and even before we got to the 218 number that's required to get it to a vote, the other side then presented it to the floor. So I think there's a good shot at doing it because this is a very urgent issue with now approaching 2 to 3 million of our people in trouble. We got to do something.
Let's talk about the minimum wage, because the irony is, Congressman, and you've probably looked at the polls like I've looked at it, 56% of people who vote Republican are for a higher minimum wage, for the $10.10. But last year you had a vote. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
because last year you had a... Yeah, I'm sorry.
They understand, Chris, they understand that they want their neighbors, their friends, to be able to go to work, to be able, and they're working full time, and they want to be able to take care of their families. I mean, it's very simple. And approximately 2/3 of these minimum wage workers are women. And on Valentine's Day, what a better way to celebrate than having, going forward, to make sure that these women are making a decent wage.
You charmer, you. Anyway, let me ask you this about the question. Seriously, I should have said it, but it is a nice statement there. But here's my question to you. If 56% of Republicans support a minimum wage increase to $10.10, why did 100% of the Republicans in the House of Representatives, of the body you serve, why did they vote against it to the last person last year? What's the disconnect about in the Republican Party between members and people?
I honestly do not understand. Chris, these are their constituents. These are the folks that they're going to look in the face tonight as they sit down with their loved ones who are going to be waiting on them on one of the most significant restaurant nights, by the way, in the country. And they're going to be sitting there and they're going to be looking at somebody who, and by the way, restaurant workers in many states are making $2.13 an hour in tips. So you got those folks making way below the minimum wage, and then you've got others making $7.25, doing a lot of jobs that are very, very important. The president started it. I thought what he did was very significant with regard to workers, for those who are contracting for the federal government. That was a great step. But America, you're absolutely right, Chris. It's not just Republicans, it's Democrats, it's independents. They all say, let's lift up this minimum wage. And so we have to take the fight to the Congress. We have to, unfortunately, embarrass some of our friends.
I think so. Well, let me get back to the Congressman. Let me go to the reporting on this. Thank you, Casey. You're covering the Hill. Is this doable? You have 200 Democrats. You need 218 votes for a discharge to force it to the floor. How's it look?
With all due respect to the Congressman, I think it's a long shot at best at this point. First of all, a discharge petition, signing one for any Republican would be a hostile act, right? It's like saying to Speaker John Boehner, we don't like the way you're running the place. Even though he's the majority, he's their leader. So, and then if you think about the Republicans who might be willing to sign on to this from a political perspective, say those in swing districts, people with a lot of workers in their districts, suburban cities in Philadelphia, Congressman Pat Meehan, Mike Fitzpatrick, exactly. Those are exactly the kind of people who are going to be standing with John Boehner. They're the ones who've stood with him all along. And if he's not putting this forward on the floor, they're not necessarily going to be signing it. I mean, what this really is...
So that's pretty smart. In other words, I thought that, in other words, the people who would normally be from moderate districts who have a lot of workers in the district and some union strength aren't going to go with it because they're the ones particularly loyal to Boehner against the crazy right. Congressman, I go back to you, and isn't that a conundrum for you?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, but again, this is becoming a moral issue, and it always has been a moral issue. You can't have somebody working full-time, Chris, and with one child making $14,000 a year and unable and in poverty. That's ridiculous. We have got to force the moral issue, and I think that's what the president's going to be doing. That's what we're going to be doing. And we cannot just give up the fight. We can't just throw up our hands and say, oh, we can't do this, because there are people who are depending on us. We've got to make those arguments. A lot of of people said we couldn't get the debt ceiling done, but it got done. And so I get tired of all of these arguments of no, we can't get things done. Yes, we can get them done, and we will.
That sounds like me sometimes. I'm with him. But here's the question. What's the deal going to be? What do the Republicans want to do it if they do go aboard? Do they need some sort of tax cuts for small business? Because that's the usual thing. You get a minimum wage hike by the Republicans getting something for business.
Exactly. I mean, business would be very opposed to this. Then again, I mean, business hasn't shown to have all that much sway with Republicans in this Congress anyway.
Well, why are they against minimum wage then? Who's fighting it?
The argument is also going to turn. The other thing I will say, even if they're not successful here at the federal level, there is a significant push in the states. Arkansas is one state that's going to have a ballot initiative on the minimum wage in the state, so it'll be interesting to see what Democrats like Mark Pryor do.
I think smart conservative politics is to be for a minimum wage hike because it keeps society together. You don't want to have a big division. Your last word, Congressman.
And by the way, Maryland, my state, and Governor O'Malley, to his credit, has got a wonderful minimum wage bill, which I predict is going to pass. I'm going to be testifying on it on Monday in Annapolis. So what we're doing on the federal level is having an effect. A lot of local jurisdictions are raising the minimum wage. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Hey, thank you, Congressman. It's always nice to have you on. By the way, there are more workers than there are employers. They should win this. Anyway, thank you, Casey Hunt, for coming here.